Hello and welcome to Sami Parvez Show. Today I'm joined by Pastor Artur Pawlowski. Pawlowski was arrested multiple times just doing his job as a Christian faith. We will be discussing the rise of burning churches and Christophobia and how the government is playing its role and who is behind setting fire on these churches. Pawlowski has written a book which will be published in this late August. The book title is Lines Do Not Bow: The Unbreakable Courage of Canada's Pastor. He has spent 50 days in prison, and we will also be talking about his book. Thank you so much, Pastor Artur Pawlowski, for joining me today. It's a pleasure to have you here.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, my pleasure. So I invited you because, as you know, there is a rising of burning churches in Canada. But before going to that topic, I need to ask you: uh, you have been arrested multiple times in 2021 and 2022. I need to know, like, what those political during COVID time, like you are serving, like it mean uh, serving people on behalf of church. So do you believe those were political or just like those were violating of COVID rules or COVID mandates?
Well, what we see for about 20, 30 years in Canada right now is an ongoing hostility towards Christianity. So we could see this way before the COVID lie. I was arrested the first time in 2006. My arrest was for publicly reading Bible. I was charged with criminal offenses and I faced a year of imprisonment. That's 2006. 2005, we got tickets for organizing church services, feeding people. We've learned in 2005 that giving free goods and services was now prohibited by law. So Christians cannot, according to the law, go and feed the poor, which is a total insanity. Also, 2005, we got tickets for distribution of printed material, which is Bibles and gospel tracts. So there is a pattern that has been happening for a very long time right now in Canada. It looks like everything else is widely accepted except Judeo-Christian values. And the latest 4 years are just showing us that those people are not stopping. That if, for example, we have about 100 churches burned in Canada, including our church. Our church was lit on fire in 2002. So from 2001, 2002, 3, we were attacked without mercy by the authorities for simply doing our job. Imagine something like this happening to the Muslim community. This would be a political outcry. They will be chopping people's heads off. But it looks like Christians are an open season, and you can do whatever you want to the Christians. And they lit my house on fire as a pastor. They unscrewed tires in my pickup truck. I was physically attacked. Our church was vandalized for 3 weeks. They lit our church on fire and they managed to burn down our school bus. So this is an ongoing hostility towards Christianity, persecution, prosecution. I have been arrested multiple times, over 360 citations right now, and over 120 court cases. Right now, as I speak to you, we're still in courts in Canada. My appeal is happening September the 10th. We are in court this month, and next month continues.
Yeah, it is very sad to hear that despite Canada being a majority country of Christians, like majority people are Christians in Canada, where 20 millions are. But despite that, it seems like Christianity is being treated like a minority. So, like those, so who do you think behind all of these? Like as you mentioned that your church was burned down, school bus was burned down, and they also tried to vandalize your house. So who was behind this?
Oh, it's political, 100%. There is this old English saying that says the fish rottens from its head, it stinks from its head. So when you look at the prime minister, he hates Christianity. He talks about it, how much he despises Christians. He loves China and he loves their communistic, socialistic dictatorship. He's open about it. So the whole government is a very hostile government against Christians. Why? Because Christians stand for the truth. Christians are law-abiding citizens. Christians feed the poor and take care of the elderly and orphans, and that's unacceptable for any totalitarian regime, because this government wants to control every aspect of our lives, and Christians are interfering with that. The government wants to be God. The government wants to give you welfare checks. The government wants to control everything, what you buy, where you are buying it, with whom you're hanging around. The past 4 years showed us that. So Christians are interfering with their global agenda. That's why there is this hostility towards Christianity. It comes from politics, political policies, which are aiming at Christians, at people of faith. The government, and again, you got to remember, I grew up behind the Iron Curtain under the boots of godless tyrants. They just want to be worshipped. They don't like opposition, but they also don't like competition. They don't want people to believe in someone else except them. And that's what the whole thing is all about. We have seen it in history many times. This is simply another repetition of history. That's what we are observing. And it comes from the political realm. And of course, the media are helping those people to accomplish this.
Yeah, you are right. And also, as you were talking about Prime Minister Trudeau, and once it was quoted by International Canada Prayer that Pastor Steve Long once said that he met Trudeau 3 times, and the third time in 2019, Trudeau told him Christians were the worst part of Canadian society. So what's your reaction with that thought?
Yeah, of course. Again, we are talking about competition here. The government, every dictatorship, every totalitarian government wants to control people, and Christians cannot, real Christians, I'm not talking about religious people, real Christians cannot be controlled by crooked governments. Real Christians are on this side of eternity for a mission. And what is our mission? Our mission is to help people. Our mission is to bring hope. Our mission is to feed the poor, take care of the orphans and the widows. And that's what we do 3 times a week. We feed the homeless people on the streets of Calgary. Well, that's unacceptable because it cannot be controlled by the government. The government comes and looks at what Christians, real Christians do, and they say, well, they're not worshiping us. The hope is not coming from the government and the welfare system. Their hope is coming from someone that we cannot control, we cannot manipulate. You got to remember, there are 2 competing things in front of our very eyes. They are pathological liars, manipulators, misinformation, disinformation, and open lies competing with the truth. And the truth is dangerous. Again, let me repeat this. Truth is extremely dangerous to those that are perpetrating lies, because sooner or later their house of cards that they have been building comes down when you present the truth. That's why the truth has become a revolutionary act. That's why those that are speaking the truth are deplatformed, censored. In any dictatorship, truth is unacceptable for those people that forward lies. And that's exactly what we're seeing right now. In Canada, we do not have democracy anymore. We have soft dictatorship, and it's going to escalate if the Canadian people will not rise up. They want to control everything, just like the people were controlling Poland behind the Iron Curtain, where, during the time I was growing up. So I see the same pattern. I see the same mechanism being implemented in Canada. Seen the same tactics being implemented in Poland under the boots of the Soviets. Nazis did the same tactics. So Canadian people have to realize that this government is a hostile government. This government hates Canada. This government hates Canadian people because Canadian people don't want to be controlled. Therefore, they are doing everything in their power to subdue the population. And how you're going to do that? Well, you have to remove the truth. That's why those that speak the truth are deplatformed. There is cancel culture. There is censorship. What else? Well, you need to control people's finances. That's why the taxes are so absolutely crazy. Over 50% in taxes. Also, you need to control the food supplies. When you control food, you control the population, because then you can usually manipulate them. You can scare them, and that's exactly what the Nazis did. That's exactly what the Soviets are still doing in some of the countries. So we're witnessing the same thing. Nothing is new under the sun, the Bible says, and if works, if this tactic works for the villains, well, we need to apply the tactics that worked for the previous generations. For example, under Mahatma Gandhi or Martin Luther King Jr., or like Wałęsa under the Solidarity movement that took down the biggest empire, the Soviet empire. So, and that's what I'm teaching. That's what I'm trying to tell the people. We got to rise up. You got to stand up. Come on. If we don't do it now, our children will have no future. We're going to be under the boots of very evil tyrants. And it will be up to the people to start choosing in the political realm people that are from outside of the system. Because you have to remember, so what we are observing right now is the Uni Party, is we have conservative party, but it's not conservative at all. We have the liberals that launched this attack on our liberties in the past few years. And then you've got NDP. All of those people that have been elected to protect us betrayed us. They should be charged with treason. They not only did not protect the people, represented the people, they actually did everything in their power to hurt people. So until Canadian people will realize what is happening to them, that the ruling parties, the Uni Party, like I said before, is doing this to them, and start voting for people from outside of the club, well, this is going to progress. This is not going to stop. We have housing crisis. We have problems with rent. We have problems with fiat currency, which is being shaved every month. Inflation is crazy. Prices are rising. People are hurting. You've got mortgage crisis. When people are coming to renew their mortgages, they cannot afford. I just read the statistics a couple of weeks ago from mainstream propaganda, which even them are realizing that there is a huge problem, that stated 44% of Canadians are facing problems month to month, and they will not be able to afford to pay their bills. 44%, almost half of Canadians are hurting. While all of this is done to them by all the three parties. And it's pretty sad, because what we have been doing in the past 40, 50 years in Canada is the revolving door. people have tendency to vote for the lesser of two evils. And in the end of the day, raising the bar, we have been lowering the bar for the politicians. And now we got really psychopaths. We got wicked, evil haters of democracy, haters of freedom, haters of Canada ruling over us. So I don't know what is going to take for the Canadian people. I don't know what is going to take for the Christians to finally start voting for good men and good women into power. You know, I don't understand the concept that they are voting for the three parties that stand for abortion. If you are a Christian, you would never ever vote for a party that stands for abortion. That's insane. That's like murdering children with your decisions. Just because you don't pull a trigger, you know, it doesn't exclude you from responsibility, because you have elected the man that is pulling the trigger. You help this man to have that kind of power. So we're in a big trouble. I think God is judging Canada. He's judging Christians. He's judging the churches, because we have failed. We were supposed to be good people. We were supposed to forward God's kingdom, preach the truth, feed the people, stand for what's right. And instead, we have exchanged the Great Commission, go into all the world and preach the gospel to all creation, for we need to build a building and turn it into a mega entertainment center with coffee shops and restaurants and gyms and all kinds of different, you know, theater. And so God is not happy. He's flipping the tables. He's shaking the fence, and he's trying his best to awaken the masses, for them to realize what's really going on. And I'm waiting for that. I'm waiting for the people in Canada to finally wake up and realize how evil those people in power have become. There is no accountability. There are no checks and balances anymore. The judges are rogue and woke. The crown prosecutors are liars and manipulators. And the politicians, well, they can say and do whatever they want without any consequences right now. And the mainstream media, well, they are forwarding this agenda without even blinking of an eye, because they got over $3 billion from the government to lie to the public. And that's what you have. So wake up, smell coffee while you still have coffee, because the time is coming when you will not even afford the things that you're used to.
Mhm. Okay, thank you. So you were talking something about government is tackling down those churches, and like, as you said, you feed like poor people or homeless people. So it means when you feed them, so they will not go to government. So do you believe this is the reason? Because they don't be dependent on government than churches. So that's why government is doing nothing, maybe encouraging people to destroy more churches and destroy the Christianity community.
Yeah, it's all about fear. Every totalitarian regime unleashes terror on its people. The government has to bring the population to a point that everyone is afraid. You cannot speak, you cannot say this, you cannot do this, because the government is going to finish you off and you will lose your entire life. So that's exactly what is happening in Canada. And again, it's all about control. The dictatorship, in any totalitarian regime, always wants to control everything. So when a church is doing their good deeds, the government cannot control that.
Mhm.
There is an exchange of love, if you will, between one human being and another human being without the government involvement. And they cannot accept this. They cannot allow this, because suddenly I am doing something with another person without the government overreach, without the government control. Homelessness, for example. Homelessness in the province of Alberta, that's a multi-billion-dollar business. And the government is in this business, and it's it's in their best interest to keep homelessness going, because we are talking about hundreds of millions of dollars every year that is, going somewhere. Of course, not to the homeless, it's going somewhere. But they're using homelessness as an excuse to steal the taxpayers' money. Without the homeless, they would lose that excuse. In the end of the day, we have this old Polish saying, if you do not know what the whole thing is all about, it's always about money. We're dealing with crooks, liars, thieves, and tyrants, and they always want to get more for themselves. And that's what you see. When you look at the politicians, when they enter political realm, they have very little money. And by the time they go, they're multi-millionaires. For example, Justin Trudeau had few $1,000,000 when he entered politics. Now he has over $130 million. How that happened? No one is asking the right questions. How come a prime minister that is making $300,000 is over $120 or $130 million? How that happened? Well, because they are stealing. They are cheating the public. They are robbing Canadian people. So you're getting poorer, they're getting richer. That's and more powerful. That's what we're witnessing.
And so you don't see a difference between liberals, conservative, or NDP. You believe all are same.
All are the same. I mean, during the test, I call this past 4 years a test. During the test, where was the Conservative Party that stood for us? Where was Pierre Poilievre? I didn't see him during the rallies. I didn't see him during the truck convoy. I didn't see him standing for us. Why? Because his wife was selling the tests, the COVID tests, to the Canadian government, to Air Canada. So the Poilievre's family made millions of dollars while we were suffering and our lives were being destroyed. Pierre Poilievre was becoming richer and richer and richer. So those people are not interested in opposing the government. They want to benefit from the government. That's why I find it shocking that Canadians are thinking that Pierre Poilievre is their savior, while during the test, he failed, and he failed in a big way. I don't know, again, what is going to take for them to wake up and realize what's really going on, but I see absolutely no difference. They stand for the government overreach, censorship. They stand for abortion. They stand for homosexual perversion, for transgenderism, for pedophilia. They all stand for the same thing. And if they don't vocally say it, their actions are stating that they are. There is no outcry. There is no laws. There's no even proposals from the so-called Conservative Party to tackle the human trafficking and pedophilia in our country. Children are being destroyed, and it's okay for them. For example, in the province of Alberta, which is run by the Conservative government, we have human trafficking. It's a huge business. Thousands of children are being trafficked. We have the proof, we have the evidence, but no one cares. The Premier, Daniel Smith, passed a law to inject our 6 months old young children with an experimental drug, knowing that this is killing human beings. And now they are recommending this to be done to the people every 3 months. So I see absolutely no difference between those the three parties. It's a uni-party forwarding the same globalistic agenda. For example, in Edmonton, they are already implementing 15-minute city that will completely control the communities. So it's happening in front of people's eyes, but obviously they're bewitched. They want to believe the lie that the Conservatives are better. Why? Because they say few things that sound better than the Liberals and NDP, but in fact, they're all the same.
So do you think People's Party of Canada under Maxime Bernier is different, or that is also same?
Well, let's go back to the fruits. in the Bible, it says, by their fruits you shall know them. So Maxime Bernier participated in the rallies. He was with the truckers. He was arrested. He was receiving tickets. So he was very vocal, opposing this infringement on our God and state given rights, fundamentally guaranteed rights. So he did it. He is very vocal. He does speak, and he is trying his best to make to bring the awareness for the, into the Canadian population. So I'm thinking, well, you've got the Uni Party, the Conservative, the Liberals, and NDP doing the opposite of freedom, and you've got the PPC party that is fighting against that, this tyranny that has been unleashed. So it's no brainer. I'm not I'm not saying that that Maxime Bernier is a holy man. I'm not saying that he is a saint. I'm just saying, look at what he is forwarding. And he is forwarding freedom. So what do you want? You want to live under tyrant, or you want to live under someone that wants to bring back law? Because we're living in lawlessness right now. Someone that wants to bring prosperity, someone that understands oil, energy sector, someone that is not buying the garbage of political correctness and the global climate hoax, which is unbelievable that people are actually buying it. So who you're going to vote for? Well, majority of people are saying, well, we're going to vote for Conservative Party just to get rid of Justin Trudeau Castro Caligula, as I call him. But they don't realize that they're going to vote for a very, very similar mindset. Conservative Party is not very far.
Let's get back to the churches, the burning of churches. So last week, a church got burned down in Toronto, and the police is still not sure if it was someone burned it intentionally, or that was just got a fire circuit, something like that. And also back in 2024, CBC reported there were like 33 churches were burned down since 2021, and dozen have been vandalized, but there are confirmed 24 have been arson by some people. So what's your reaction on those, like since 2021?
Well, again, the government is very hostile to Christianity. Therefore, the government is sending a message to villains, to evil people, to destroy Christianity. That's the message the government is sending. And then I don't know if the government agents themselves are setting those churches on fire. That's quite a big possibility. In Poland, under the boots of the Soviets, that's exactly what the government was doing. The agents, the police, were doing bad things, claiming that there are some criminals doing it. What was the purpose? The purpose was to terrorize communities. And that's exactly what this government is doing. This government is terrorizing its own citizens. It's trying to create a situation when people are not feeling safe and they're scared all the time. Because a person that is scared is easily manipulated and controlled. Again, we did a big circle going back to the same thing. Every tyrant wants people to be scared of him. Every tyrant wants the people to be controlled by him. And fear, terror is a great weapon. It's a great tool at their disposal. So Christians, according to them, Jews and Christians, they want to create a feeling that people are scared and afraid. They're scared of everything. Don't say this, because if you say your church might be burned, don't do this, because if you do it, then you will be attacked. and you will not be protected. For example, in the past 4 years, we have seen two categories of people. Christians were not protected. They were attacked and the police did nothing. And other group of people were super protected. You know, I've seen situations where Jewish people and Christians were the victims, but they were charged. They were attacked by the authorities, not protected by the authorities. And the villains were protected, encouraging to do even more evil things. So that's the pattern I see right now. The villains are protected by crooked governments, and the victims are victimized double, not only by the evil people, but also by the evil government and the courts and crown prosecutors, police, RCMP. So this is what I'm observing now in the past few years. The good guys are attacked without mercy, and the bad guys are protected even more. That's why you have political prisoners in Canada right now. That's why I was the first trucker and a farmer to be arrested during the truck convoy. It doesn't make any sense. I was not blocking anything. I was not a trucker. I'm not a farmer. I was just a pastor delivering a peaceful message to hurting Canadians. And I was arrested by RCMP, detectives, police, undercover, SWAT team, anti-terrorists, detectives, you name it. I mean, everyone was there and imprisoned and charged criminally for nothing. I have done nothing illegal. And yet the government is sending a message to the pastors and to the Christians. If you do the right thing, if you stand for the people against our tyranny, you might end up just like Artur Pawlowski. You might end up in solitary confinement, stripped naked. You may end up in metal cages. You may end up in psych ward, charged without mercy, denied bail. If you are going to do the right thing according to your fate, then you will be punished by us. And we are seeing this right now. I mean, right now there is a trial in Alberta for political prisoners. They are in prison for over 2 years. They've done nothing wrong. Maybe they said few foolish things, but we all have done that. But they have not committed the crime they're being accused of, and yet they are still in prison. All of this is a message. The Canadian government is sending a message to the Canadians. Don't you dare opposing our corruption, because if you do, it will cost you. We will hurt you and your family. That's the message.
So do you think, is Christianity under attack?
Oh, 100%. I mean, you can see it everywhere. Christianity is under attack in Canada, and it has been under attack for a couple decades now.
And so right now we have seen since 2021, when in Camp Loops, British Columbia, it has been reported that 215 mass graves were found near residential schools, but they could not find those remains of those indigenous children who believe they were studying in those residential schools. Those are their remains, but they could not found despite spending $8 million taxpayer dollars. So we can see the pattern of burning churches begin since 2021. But did you notice, were there any burning of churches before 2021?
No. This is a progressive attack on our faith, and they needed an excuse. Tyrants always look for a clever excuse. So we have not done the evil that the government was accusing us of. Let's say even if that was the truth, that was done 50 years, 100 years before us. We had nothing to do with this. We were not guilty of that crime, even if you follow the rhetoric of those liars. And why they are trying to penalize us for something that we had nothing to do with, because it's a nice setting scenario, a rhetorics to unleash this hatred towards the Christians. Of course, now we know that the government lied to the people, trying to create a situation of hostility towards Christians in Canada, and there's no apologies. Have you noticed the same government that accused Christians of doing all those crazy things coming and saying, we were mistaken, forgive us, we're sorry for telling the public what never happened, it did not take place? Of course not, because the purpose for all of that was to hurt Christians, was to attack Christianity, was to terrorize Christians, was to create fear in the churches in Christianity, and they have accomplished that. There are lots of Christians that are scared right now to be vocal because this attack on our faith has not stopped. For example, in the past few years, marijuana stores, liquor stores, murder of the innocent children, mega stores were all deemed essential, essential services. But the churches were called unessential services. Why? Because this is a pattern. They know what they're doing, and they have been doing this for a very long time. Now they're upping their game. They are becoming more aggressive with what they are trying to accomplish, which is a total removal of people of faith from society. Because again, why? Because the government doesn't like competition. The government doesn't want people that believe in God, because if you believe in God, you're not going to do evil. You're not going to call neighbors. You're not going to rat on them. You're not hurt another human being because you're a believer in God and you know that there are consequences to evil. But they don't want those people. They want a blind, obedient psychopaths that are ready to say yes sir, and they will go and obey orders. That's what they want. They want a society. They're creating a society of robots that for a bowl of soup, for a pension, for a salary, they're going to murder other people without even blinking their eyes. And that's what the doctors did. That's what the nurses did. That's what the police officers did in the past few years. They just were following orders. They were just doing what they were told. Why? For salary, for money. They sold their humanity. They sold their souls for silver. And for that, they're going to pay.
Okay. So, do you think there should be a call out for Christophobia? Because we see when Muslims get attacked, it is being called out Islamophobia, or Jews get attacked, it would be called anti-Semitism. Should there be a call out for Christophobia?
Yeah, I have been using this for years now. Every time they are calling us names, I'm calling them names, because that's the tactics. They're projecting what they are doing themselves. I have been called every name on earth. Why? Because if you disagree with their rhetorics, if you disagree with their lie, they immediately will call you names. Because you got to remember, those people do not have facts. They do not have biology on their side. They do not have science on their side. They do not have the mathematics on their side. They don't have the history on their side. The only thing they have is lies. And it's a house of cards. On top of one lie, they're building another rhetorics of lies, and then another and another. And when you speak the truth, this whole thing falls apart. We were told to follow the science, and when we did, we were deplatformed. When we did, we were censored. Why? Because they know they are lying to the people. They are liars, and they don't want anyone to tell the public the truth. Therefore, you don't have a debate. They're not going to allow you to bring the facts, because they know they're lying, and they are afraid of the facts. So the only weapon they have is terror, here and calling us names, conspiracy theorists, right wing, Christian extremists, nationalists. Well, we are just law-abiding people taking care of the most vulnerable people in our society. We're paying taxes. We are hardworking people. We don't cause trouble. We don't attack people. We don't march through the streets burning stuff and destroying cars and people's businesses. No, that's BLM. That's Antifa. They do that. But they're the good guys, according to the government. We are the bad guys.
Yeah.
We don't burn stuff up. We don't destroy people's property. We don't punch people's faces. We just mind our own business, but we're the bad guys. And those people that do violent things, they are the good guys. Because you got to remember, that's exactly what they want. They want chaos. They want a total control of everything. And they're using Antifa and BLM and all those left psychopaths to destroy a law-abiding citizens.
So do you think the conservative government will be better than the liberal? But you mentioned that it means those are liberal, conservative, and DP are same. But the take test, what we are seeing, the burning of churches begins 2021, and blaming those churches were ones who destroyed indigenous people lives, taking away children and ruining their lives. So do you think the conservative government would be better with respect to taking care of Christianity?
Well, in end, I don't think so. At the beginning, possibly. Because you got to remember that there is this pendulum from the liberal is swinging towards the conservatives. And you observe this all over the world right now. People are sick and tired of this liberal garbage. So they are looking for alternatives. They're looking for conservative governments. Our conservative government is as corrupted as the liberal and NDP government. So I don't see in the long run, I don't see anything better for the Canadians. In the short term, sure, I think that they're going to try to portray themselves as the saviors, as the good guys. But you got to remember, it was Stephen Harper, the conservative prime minister, that brought WEF and Paris Accord on Canadians. He betrayed the conservatives. He allowed homosexual marriage. He did not stand up for abortion. Caused economical crisis. It started with the conservative government, not the liberal government. People don't know that. People think that when the conservative government is going to get in, everything is going to be fixed for them. And I'm trying to tell them that we already had a conservative government and they did this trouble. They brought this trouble on us. So if you're looking for the same people that did this to you, taking you out of this pickle, you're just delusional. You need a new set of government, totally outside from the ruling parties. And that's why I would vote for Maxime in a heartbeat in comparison to the other organizations. It's a no-brainer. But Canadians are not used to that. They want to always vote for the lesser of two evils. And what do we have in effect in the end? Evil. And that's exactly what I have been observing in the past 30, 40 years in Canada. Every time I'm being told we must vote for the lesser of two evils. And here we are with evil ruling over us. So how about, instead of voting for the lesser of two evils, how about we start voting for good, for good candidates, good people, a good new party that would be representing the people. Historically speaking, a new party always stands for people because they need to prove themselves to the public that they were the right choice. So if you would vote for outsiders, if you will, for PPC or any other party that is not the ruling party, I'm telling you, for the next 2-3 elections, you will have the best government ever. Why? Because they will be doing everything in their power to prove to you that they were the right choice. And yes, sure, maybe fourth or fifth election, the compromise and the lie would kick in, because we're dealing with humans. Humans are bad, in a big picture. But the first 2-3 elections, you will have the best country ever. But people are not thinking that way, because they are so scared that if I don't vote for Pierre Poilievre, if I don't vote for Daniel Smith, well, NDP will get in. Well, the psychopath Trudeau will stay in power. And they don't understand that they have the power to remove all the crooks from the government, not just few crooks, all of the crooks. But they are not thinking that way, and because they don't, it's going to bite them in the end. And what's economy is collapsing. The government economy, the government is destroying your fiat currency. The government is destroying your housing market. It's the government that is doing this to you, and yet people are not seeing it. So maybe because I grew up behind the Iron Curtain, I can see it right away. Maybe because my background is business, I can see the economy and the fiat and the commercial real estate and the residential, and I can see what's really going on, the attack on our farmers, the attack on our food supplies, the bylaws being implemented, the red tape, trying to do everything in their power to destroy our production, oil, the hostility towards oil and energy sector. Maybe that's why I see it and others do not. I don't really know, but I'm telling you that it's not looking good. If you vote for the conservative government, I'm telling you, you will pay in the end for it. Vote for everyone except those that did this to you. Anyone, my dog would do a better job than those politicians right now, because my dog at least is not hostile towards people. You know what I mean? The dog doesn't want to hurt you.
Yeah.
And they want to hurt you. Actually, they are hurting you. You're just not seeing it.
Yeah, thank you. So let's come back. I'm sorry. What do you see? It means they are just trying to erase Christianity and Christian people from the ground. What do you see the future? What's your prediction?
Yeah, this is again a repetition of history. We've seen this before, and they're not going to succeed because the church thrives in a time of hostility. The more they are persecuting the church, the more the church is on fire. And that's history. In China, you've got 200 million Christians, and they've done everything in their power to destroy Christianity, and it's growing and it's on fire and it's powerful. Everywhere you look, Christians are like a nail. The more you pound on it, the stronger, the deeper it goes in. Of course, they don't understand that. They're just hating us so much that they want to hurt us. But by hurting us, they are enabling us to have a powerful message. And so what I'm seeing right now is the more they are trying to destroy us, the more powerful we're becoming. The message is very polarizing. It's Christians are becoming more focused on the kingdom of God. Christians under fire are more interested in bringing God and his kingdom than about bringing coffee and gluten-free donuts into their churches. So what I predict is going to happen, the more the government is going to crack down on Christianity, the more powerful Christianity will become. And that's history. That's how always this thing was playing out. Yes, in the short term, people are going to be hurting and it's going to be very uncomfortable. In the long term, I believe that the Christians are going to win political realm, just like they're winning political realm in Europe. I don't know if you're paying attention to what's happening in Europe, but the conservative Christians are winning the seats and they're winning their countries because people, in the end of the day, you don't have to be a Christian to realize that Christianity is a good thing. Thou shalt not murder. Thou shalt not steal. Thou shalt not commit adultery.
Yeah.
Pay taxes.
Yeah.
Mind your business. Don't hurt other human being. What's wrong with that? Every person on earth knows that those are good things. Those are not bad things. Well, do you want me to go and rape your wife or your daughter? No, of course not. Well, Christians don't do that. Well, do you want me to rob your house, steal your TV? No. Well, Christians don't do that.
Yeah.
It's the BLM and Antifa types that do those things. The liberals do those things. Do you want to be lied to all the time? No. People don't like to be lied to. Well, Christians do not lie. Do not bear false, witness. Don't lie. So in the end of the day, even if they're not Christians, they're realizing, well, Christians are actually not as bad as the government is portraying them. I actually like Christians. Christians are giving me a sandwich for nothing. Christians are doing a barbecue in the community. Christians are, helping people, cleaning neighborhoods. What's wrong with that? So in the long run, people have tendency to go back to sanity again. And that's what we are observing in Europe. And but it's through the hardship. We have to go through the hardship in order for the people to realize what is happening. And Canadians are not ready for that. Canadians are bewitched, mesmerized by liars. Because someone goes on television and tells you 10,000 different lies, why would you believe them? They have a track record of lying to you all the time. Why would you believe them? Because now they're promising you that they're going to tell you the truth. It's like a wolf that is campaigning to lead a sheep, telling you, when elected, I promise you I will become a vegetarian. That's exactly what we see in politics. Those people are telling you, those wolves are telling you that if we elect them, when we will elect them, they're going to become a vegetarian. No, it doesn't work that way. You can't change the stripes of a tiger. They are who they are. They're evil people. And when you keep electing evil people, don't be surprised that you're going to be hurting more and more. And that's what is going to happen. I'm telling you, Canadians are about to face hardship like they have never faced before. I expect a Great Depression to hit Canada. I believe there is going to be a very, very big market crash. And maybe then they will look for people like me and others like maybe Maxime Bernier that actually were telling them what is happening. Maybe then they will look, hey, I've heard this man, he warned us about this and we didn't want to believe him because we were voting for the lesser of two evils. Maybe then they will look and seek for us. Maybe not. The time will tell, but at least they know now because they have been warned. And in the end of the day, you can lead a horse to the water. But if the horse refuses to drink, there is really nothing else we can do. You will die. If you don't want to drink the truth, you shall die.
Okay, then. So how do you see the current generation, like new generation? Are they putting their interest in Christianity of their ancestor religion, or are they moving toward just atheism? Atheist. Being atheist or don't believing any religion.
I think that the problem with the next generation, this generation, is that they're already hurting and they are turning into drugs. We have never seen bigger amount of people dying because of overdose than right now in Canada. We have the biggest amount of suicides ever recorded in the history of this country. So you can tell that the population is already hurting spiritually. Because in the end of the day, when you kick the truth out, when you kick hope out, what do you have? You have hopelessness. you have depression, and depression, addiction, and addiction brings suicides, and it's a vicious, never-ending circle. And so that's what we are facing. I think many people are going to die. There are many people already dying, and out of the ashes, I believe that people will start going back to God. Out of difficulties, they will start crying out to God for mercy, and I think this is going to happen, and many people will be saved. Until then, there is very little we can do. They have rejected God, and when you reject God, who remains? It's Satan. It's evil.
Yeah.
And they think that evil is fun. They think that evil is going to treat them well. And of course, we know that this is not true. And some of them are already tasting this food of evil, and they're not happy.
Okay, thank you. And last thing, as your book is coming up in this fall, 2024, which is Lines Do Not Bow, The Unbreakable Courage of Canada's Pastor, as you are sharing your 50 days in a prison. So what we have there, or what do you want to say about your book?
So what I did, my last arrest, I spent 50 days in prison, and I hate wasting time. So I started to write everything, the background story, the arrest, the politics, the things that I observed in prison, outside of prison, during rallies, Freedom Convoy, all those different things. And I put it in a form of a book. And the book is already being published in United States, and it's coming out in end of August, maybe beginning of September. So that's what we are aiming for, and it's my way of telling the whole story, because when people come and ask me about the arrests, I have to ask them, like, which one? I was arrested so many times. What about the truck convoy? What about this? What about that? What about in prison? What happened in prison? Well, I wrote it down like a journal. Day one, day two, this is what happened. And the good, the bad, and the ugly. And I'm naming the villains. I'm telling people what really is going on, what happened to them as well, because I'm just one person that represents millions of Canadians that were subjected to this great evil. So I think there is a huge interest in the story, and there's a lot of people that were asking me for the book. So here it is, and it's coming in September, and I'm very excited about this, and I hope that is going to be a blessing to many, because the book is not just telling you the bad things that happen. The book is also telling you the power of faith, the power of community, the power of coming together. And that's exactly what the government hated when we came together. The truck convoy was the most amazing thing I have ever seen on Canadian soil, because people came together, every background, every color, the rich, the poor, the families loving each other, praying for each other, hugging. It was extraordinary. I've never seen something like this in Canada, and it was beautiful. It was beautiful. So that's my perspective in the book, what I saw, what I observed, the rallies, and of course the arrests and tickets and all that craziness that happened after, and the vindication and the victories in the court. And my appeal is happening on September the 10th. I filed a lawsuit against those people. I'm suing the Canadian government, Attorney General, Chief of Police, Prison, Alberta Health Services, RCMP, hundreds of people in government. So, all of that stuff, it's in the book, and tells the people how everything was unfolding in a time of this unprecedented craziness. So also, if you want to support what we do, go to streetchurch.ca, and you can be part of the lawsuit. You can be part of this fight against this evil, and also you can be part of us, feeding thousands of people on the streets of Calgary, because we've never stopped. That's what we do. Our prime mission ministry is to feed the poor. So that's what we're doing 3 times a week. Every week we feed the homeless people on the streets of Calgary.
Thank you. and wish you best of luck for your book launch.
Thank you so
August.
much.
My pleasure. And is there anything else you would like to add up?
No, thank you. God bless. Stay strong. Don't give up. We know how the story ends. We win, and in the end, like always, I say it. That's why the title of the book is "Lions Do Not Bow." You know, lions do not bow before the hyenas. We eat them for breakfast. Why? Because we know how the story ends. We have already won. The enemy just doesn't know it yet. So be victorious. Do not lose hope. We know how the story ends. We win. Be blessed.
Okay, thank you. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you. It was a pleasure to have you. Yeah, thank you. Sir, one more thing. Can I ask you something?
Yeah.
Is it possible if I can invite you again on this show?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, let's cut it because we had some interruptions.
Yeah, I will.
Make it good, and then of course, let me know when, and we can updating people about what's happening.
Yeah, thank you so much. And myself, like I'm unemployed for last 6 months, and I have just begun this one recently. And my first interviewer was Maxime Bernier. So it began from that time, like just June 5th, I believe. So that time. And do you have any connection somewhere like for journalism, someone like as I'm unemployed, if you have something to help me out with this. This is nothing you have to do it, just requesting.
Yeah, I'll think if something comes up, I'll let
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah, thank you so much. And if you need my resume,